Hello, everyone. This is Coach Mike Ronchetti, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from Indiana with us today. It's my pleasure to welcome Rick Lijana to the show today. Hello, Rick.
Hello, Mike. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent. I'm looking forward to our conversation here. So let's start with introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your personal story, like where you're born, where you live, about your family, some hobbies, etc. And maybe if you have a funny story about what your family talks about you or tells about you, you want to share with us, we'd like to hear that too.
All right. Well, I'm born and raised in Detroit, a native Detroiter. I came from an average family size, four kids. I have one brother, two sisters. Folks got divorced when I was 11 years old, which really set me on a little different path than a fully stayed together family. So, but I'm still a Lions, Tigers, Pistons, Red Wings fan. Still been loyal to my native hometown. I've been married 46 years. I met the wife at Michigan State University. We got married in Ann Arbor, which is where she's from, about a mile from the big house in U of M. But we're both Michigan State grads. I got a chemistry degree. She got into education. We have two daughters, two granddaughters, and so a family of girls. And so, the pets I've gotten throughout my life were always male pets because I got to vote for them. Otherwise, it'd been all the girls against me. So I got that. Now, we've been a very traditional family. Two daughters and wife and I. Every dinner was at the dining room table 7 days a week. And even now in their adult lives, every Sunday we get together as a family. We actually see together as a family 4, 5, 6 times a week. But, my two daughters, their goal in life at the dinner table was to irritate my wife. How can I get mom irritated? And it was a process. It would take them 15, 20 minutes, but they would start digging at mom. And then after 15, 20 minutes, after multiple digs, mom would blow up. Are you guys trying to irritate me? And we all have a good laugh at that because, even to this day, the kids are 4 years old and they set mom up to get irritated. It's just a fun family to be a part of, and we enjoy our time together.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
hobbies, I do the traditional stuff, but primarily I've been a travel buff for years. We hit our seventh continent, Antarctica, in March of 2023. I've been on all other six continents, been on all seven continents, but there are six continents multiple times. I've probably been to Asia 20 times, Europe 15, 20 times, South America, Australia, Africa. I've been to them all multiple times. And that's part of the business career I've been. And my wife also I'm vacationing to Egypt, an African safari in Kenya, Tanzania. So we've been around the world multiple times. Been to all 50 states. Been to 8 out of the 10 Canadian provinces. Missing PEI and Newfoundland, which we'll probably catch maybe in 2025, no later than 2026. So my bucket list of travel will be done. We bought a nice convertible in late 22. And so now we're concentrating again on traveling throughout the country on the road. I have been an avid motorcyclist.
Ooh.
I put 100,000 miles on my motorcycle. I've driven from Indiana to Calgary, Alberta, fly the wife there. We tour the Rockies. I drive back. But those days are about over now, my motorcycle days. I'm sticking to a convertible, or if it rains, I got to put a top up. So travel is the big thing. Other than that, family is a big part of our lives.
Oh, wow. What a beautiful story. Thank you. I don't want to cut you short, but I know we could probably have you talk a half an hour just about that alone. Sounds like you have so
Oh
much
yeah,
love and,
yeah.
and admiration for your situation. That's wonderful. Thank you. So I do want to jump to the business a bit about it. So tell us a little bit about how the business came about. About what point did you have the confidence that you could run your own business?
Well, confidence is an excellent question because that's really developed over time. I was a chemical engineering degree. I went to work in the corporate world, and I went to work at Ford Motor Company right out of college. My dad had worked there for 40 years, so I kind of followed in his footsteps. And a career at Ford Motor was good. It was comfortable.
Mhm.
You know, middle class, and you made a good salary, you got good benefits, you got, good pension program. But there are also some family issues associated with working for a company like Ford. So an opportunity came up for me to leave Ford and move down to a chemical plant down in Louisville, Kentucky, called Celanese, which ultimately became Rodeo over the 19 years I was there. So my wife and I decided to take the risk of moving. It was a lower paying job. It was a different career path, and we're moving out of a comfort zone. So we took a risk as a family. We had one daughter at the time. She was 2 years old. So I took that risk. And then 9 years later, I got the opportunity within that company to be promoted to run my own plant in Los Angeles. Again, we took a risk to LA, to move to LA. Then I got a bigger plant opportunity in Toronto, Canada, moving outside the country to a Canadian. And we took that. And then another risk moving to the largest plant in North America in Chicago Heights, Illinois. So it was a series of risk taking. And I left that company after 19 years and took more risk to get into a corporate level position and to manage the worldwide manufacturing and corporate engineering, so on and so forth, with a different company.
Whoa.
I have a career in the corporate world of risk taking. And it put my family a little bit at risk, put me at risk and career wise, but it worked out well. And so I became very comfortable with risk,
Mhm.
which is very important. And then there's a story in Louisville. I became a manager, and I reported to a plant manager. And there was an issue came up, and the plant manager talked to me about it. I was maintenance and engineering manager, and he said, "Rick, I think we need to do A." And I said, his name was Jerry. I said, "Jerry, I think we need to do B." And we talked about it. He says, "Well, I'm going to do A." So I followed A, I supported A, and it worked. So I said to myself, boy, what did I do wrong? Why was I wrong in B and A? So a few years go by, like I said, I got promoted going out to LA, and I became a plant manager. So now I had the authority to make my own decisions. And the same type of issue came up. And I said to myself, well, I know A works, but I thought B would have worked. So I had the authority. So I chose B this time.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. Now, maybe I might be a little biased, but I thought it worked better. So what that taught me was I could trust myself. And so that, you were the word confidence. I used the word trust. I now knew that I could trust my intuition and trust my skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the risk-taking part, and I had the trust in myself part. And so that gave me the ability to jump off from the corporate world and start my own business. Now, how did the business come about? Is both my daughters are registered nurses. And I tell the story all the time. My wife really gets irritated with me. And the reason I started the business is because my wife wants me dead. And the story with that is my wife came to me one day, and her lineage, she lasts to 100 years old. The male side of my family doesn't hardly last to 80. So she came to me and said, Rick, when you die, I'm going to spend all our money. The girls are independent. They got good jobs. They're both nurses. They got good husbands, families. They don't need us. They don't need a penny from us. So when you die, I'm spending all our money. Well, my goal was to give my two daughters a financial legacy so they could live comfortably in retirement. So I started this business and to create a sustainable business model that I could gift to my two daughters. Okay. And you look at the vision on our wall coming in, and one of the key words is sustainability, and that's not environmental sustainability. That is cash flow, that's profit, that is wealth generation that I could gift to my daughters. And actually, I was successful in that. My one daughter already owns half the company, and the other daughter is in the wings waiting to own the other half. Whenever she's ready, she'll get it. So that's how the business came about. Is I wanted a business, a sustainable business model that I could give to my daughters. They're both RNs. It's in the healthcare field. They understand at least the concepts of the business. And that way they have a financial legacy. They got some financial stability that I could give them. So they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
The wife can spend all our money. She's happy. And I'm dead. So
That's a perfect cycle.
Yes, yes. So that's it. You know, the focus point is again is the family, and so I'm very happy with, you know, learning how to be comfortable with risk, learning to trust myself, and again creating a sustainable business model, which is the main purpose of why BrightStar came about.
Got it. Okay. Well, tell us about BrightStar. I mean, I now we got to the kind of the topic of what's at hand. You're handing off to your daughters. Talk about that. Also, obviously, for anybody listening on this, check out the company in the link in the description below, and LinkedIn, and actually tell them you watched it, and it'd be appreciated. So, tell us about BrightStar.
Well, BrightStar Valparaiso is a nationally accredited home care agency. The region we serve is obviously Northwest Indiana. We're in Porter, LaPorte County, and surrounding counties. We provide the full continuum of medical and non-medical care for our clients in our clients' homes. So we'll do skilled nursing, we'll do infusions, we'll do wound care. And instead of having the client go to a clinic or to a hospital, we'll go to them in their house and do the infusions. We'll do the wound care. We'll do the skilled nursing assessments. And we also have a CNA, certified nurse aides, and home health aides, where we help our clients with activities of daily living. We'll help them with their personal hygiene. We'll help them getting dressed. We'll help them with ambulation. So our primary role is to go into people's homes and provide their ability to remain independent, to live at home instead of going to a hospital, going to a skilled nursing facility, or what have you. We are accredited by the Joint Commission, which is very important to us. If you look at our vision statement, I've already said there's three main words. I've already said one, sustainability. You know, that's the cash flow, that's the profitability. The other one is competitive, which means that I need to be competitive in the marketplace, but not only in the products we sell, which is the service, but also competitive for our employees, pay them a fair, high wage, and recognized. And part of the recognition in the community is we are Joint Commission and accredited. So when you go into a house, and it might have a nurse in the house, might have a doctor in the house, and we're going to take care of their mom and dad. Once you tell them they're Joint Commission accredited, they know what that means. Just like a hospital, just like a clinic. And these guys are pretty solid. And yeah, you can find us at brightstarcare.com/Valparaiso, or just primarily brightstarcare.com, and you can find us when you look by the region.
So if I can just ask the transition from your last job to BrightStar, how did you find that?
I left the corporate world in my early 50s. I had the wherewithal to do that. I had a series of health issues, if you will, in 2006, and I left the corporate world in 2009. And then I had a friend of mine was going to retire as a police officer. He too had two daughters, so we started putting our heads together on what kind of business we wanted to pursue. And with my two daughters being nurses, he did not want to get into the security field because he had enough being a cop. And so we began a search, and we looked at various franchise organizations, and BrightStar came up. It is a franchise. I like the franchise organization model in that you have the processes in place, you have some structure in place, which makes it a little bit easier to start. And so we searched around, and we settled on BrightStar. I capitalized BrightStar, and we went on our merry way. Now, my original partner, I gifted him 20% of the business, and he ended up having a substance abuse issue and kind of destroyed me for the first year and a half, 2 years. Great guy, difficult disease, and I still see him to this day. We have to part ways, obviously, early on, but I still see him to this day, play golf, just a wonderful person. But as a business partner, it didn't work out for us.
Got it. Thank you, because that's obviously important to know how you got from one career to another career with segue of what you did. So thank you on that. So continuing on what we're trying to discover your background as well as your experiences, share a story of where someone pushed or inspired you that you could do it and the impact that had on you.
Well, that's an interesting question because uh, I've never been one to promote myself. Meaning, I knew the Los Angeles position as a plant manager would be opening up. I did not actively pursue that. I never actively pursued a career change. But there were three or four people in and throughout my career, Dave Gerhardt, Dan Harker, Kel Anderson, Rich Zanowich, that promoted me, meaning that they would go to the decision maker and say, hey, this job is opening up, and the right person for the job is Rick. And sometimes they'd get pushed back. They say, oh, I don't think Rick is the right person. And they would always push back and say, no, he is the right person. Give him a shot. And so, yeah, I took the risk, but these four gentlemen to open some doors for me to help me develop as a person and in my career. Because you learn throughout your career.
Yeah.
I went to Los Angeles. I had 40 people report to me. All right. So I get in there, and after 3 years, our performance was exceptional. Our safety performance had significantly improved, our quality improved, productivity improved. So, hey, this is a good job, Rick. So I got another opportunity to go to Toronto and run a plant for 100 people. Well, 6 months after I left LA, I got the opportunity to check in on them, and performance had significantly deteriorated. Mm. And so I looked at that and said, my gosh, why did they go backwards? And I realized they went backwards because I failed. I had maybe innate natural leadership skills. So I could energize a company to do better, to trust themselves, to perform better. But I didn't have the management process skills that would allow that gain to sustain itself. So when I left, that energy left and they went backwards. So I failed the first plant. People thought I did a great job, but in my mind, I failed. And so now I get to the plant now with 100 people, and it's like, wow, all right, I got to take a close look at processes. And we have a quality process, we have a safety process, but we need to improve those and put them in a place where they're sustainable and they'll generate continuous improvement. So that was my focus on my second job as a plant manager. And then you get to a 400-person facility, and what I learned there was one person doesn't have the exposure to lead 400 people. You have to have multiple people with the same message. And that was a union facility. So, I mean, a guy, Nate Boyd, the president of the local union, just a fabulous person. He and I got on the same page, and we had the same message, and we both promoted the same direction. And to this day, I support unions because when the union is aligned with the company goals, great things happen, man. Great things happen. So, I don't know if somebody inspired me or pushed me, but there was four people that really opened up some doors for me that allowed me to develop and have the career I wanted, which allowed me then to develop the necessary skills to jump into the business world on my own as an independent.
Wow. I mean, to have that background of starting with Ford and moving through the other industries that you've done, as well as those roles, and have the consciousness to improve and continue to improve is pretty impressive. I mean, as you can say, hey, you've done it through age, but at the same time, you're wise enough to realize that what got me here won't get me where I want to go next, and that's pretty impressive too. So that's neat.
Yeah, Chicago Heights, 400 people. I told you it was a union facility. We went to a self-directed work team concept there, and we repurposed about 18 supervisors. It took us 3 years, but a union facility, we did away with time clocks. We did away with attendance control policies, and we trusted and we empowered the people there at the organization. I used to do Friday morning breakfast meetings with a group of 10 people every Friday, different hourly guys, salaried guys, it didn't matter. And when I first got there, I told the group that I was going to trust and respect and treat people accordingly. And a gentleman by the name of Cooper, he piped up. He was a very vocal person. He said, you know, you're either the dumbest guy in the world or you're the most naive guy in the world. It ain't going to work. And so time goes on. And after about 3 years, maybe 4 years into it, I'm still having these breakfasts. Cooper is again at the breakfast of mine. And towards the end of the breakfast, he said, hang on, guys. He said, if you guys remember 3 years ago, I told Rick he was either stupid or naive. He said, I was dead wrong. He said, this plant is a great place, and we have Rick to thank for it.
Mm.
And so those are the kinds of things that make it all worthwhile.
Yes, and your vividness of these comments is just fascinating after this many days and years pass. Some people kind of forget about it in the fog of life, and I really appreciate your succinctness and describing it like it was yesterday. You had the conversations. That's really, thank you for being a great narrator of your life. I want to switch your mind from the past to the future. As you think about the next 1 to 3 years, what's your number one point of growth or challenge to achieve your goals?
Well, I've used the word sustainability a number of times, and our business, the cash flow is good, the profit is good, but I'm not convinced our sustainability is where it needs to be. And what I mean by that is we have 4 revenue verticals, and one of them is very well established and drives the company. The other 3 are weak. So over the next 3 years, our focus on servicing veterans, on building our skilled and care services, the Medicaid PA, prior authorization. So those, we need to more fully develop those 3 revenue verticals, and the private pay side fits in there, to really create a sustainable business where if 1 or 2 tank for whatever reason, I'm solid, and the business is solid. So that's what we're going to do. From a growth standpoint, we could double our business in the next 2 years just by focusing on 1 or 2 of those and doing a good job on it. And so that's going to be our direction. We have. I'm comfortable right now with having the right people in the right seats. We may have one that is a real good person and needs to be tweaked a little bit, but that's a failure point of mine throughout my own business. Running my own business is getting the right people in the right seats, and making sure that they're capable, their strengths are aligned with what we need to have, and so we have a good organization. My daughter now is pretty much running the day-to-day activities. One of my weaknesses is I tend to give away product. In other words, when I see somebody in need and they can't afford me, well, I'll lower the price so I could service them. That's not always a good business decision. And so my daughter now is focusing on the day-to-day, and she's told me, Dad, you don't talk to clients. I'll do that. So it's great to see her develop, and great to see her run the business, and the right people in the right job, and focusing on some more revenue verticals will get us to where we need to be in the next 2 or 3 years.
Got it. Okay. A couple minor points before I get to the final question here. What year did you begin BrightStar?
2011.
Okay.
2011. I left the corporate world in 2009, and then we started up in October of 2011. Did a very couple difficult years in the first 2 years, and then over the last really 3 years, the business has gone very well, and very happy with where we're at.
And your daughters, one or two, have been involved since the beginning, or not? They joined you after you started.
My youngest daughter has been involved in the beginning,
Okay.
mostly on a part-time basis,
Mhm.
and really just in the last few years on a full-time basis. And my other daughter still works in the hospital on a full-time basis, and she works with us 1 day a week, just to keep in the business and taking care of some quality issues. So both are involved in the business.
Nice. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Kind of my final question, or it kind of goes back to, or actually maybe there's two finals. Jim Rome happens to be a business coach legend in our world, and he has a phrase that says, "We become the average of five people that we spend the most time with." As you think about that kind of advice, do you have any business owners who really you basically want to say something about who want to try it on their own, and how you think about saying to them, should they or should they not?
Well, one of my key learnings are, you can work from a corporate world and do very well for yourself, but if you want to generate, uh, any wealth, then you need to go on your own business. And being a small business owner is the way to go. Now, you have to have a very solid why you want to be a business owner. My why was my two daughters. And, to me, why I want to make money. Well, okay, fine. Y'all want to make money, but my why, what drives me through all the adversity, was my two daughters. And so that really guided me and helped me be successful. Now, uh, to get into the business yourself, to me, uh, you really need three things I would think of. You need to trust yourself. And again, I developed some trust in myself early on and learned from that. You need to have some patience and perseverance, both excellent virtues to have. There's a guy that told me that, Dan Harker, told me, the sky is falling and we're about to get run over. And he'd always say, just patience. You give somebody the right amount of time and the right amount of information, they'll make the right decision. But
Hmm.
give them that time. So be patient. So that's key. And as a small business owner, I learned very quickly that you always have to make your payroll. Now, that's code. You always hear you have to be properly capitalized, but what does that mean to the average person? And they don't know that. And so I always think about always making payroll, which means you have to manage your cash. You manage your cash, then you're golden. So you can say be properly capitalized, but make sure you have enough cash to make payroll. You have to manage your cash, and there's a lot of aspects to that. So that's yes, I would fully support jumping off, taking the risk, starting your own small business. It is just a fabulous journey to go on. Trust yourself, be patient, persevere, and manage your cash, and you got it.
Great, great wisdom there. Thank you. So Rick, it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people who have helped you along the journey. What would you like to say to them?
Well, you know, say to them is obviously a big thank you, but we've been in this together, all my entire career. One of my values is one of equality, uh, and I'm no better than anybody else, and nobody is better than me. I mean, we're all equal in this. And so, to the family, to the wife, without the wife, I wouldn't be where I am today. She put me on a path back in 1982. I say I took the risk doing the Louisville. She pushed me, and she pushed me taking all these risks. She put together a great family. So the wife deserves 95% of the credit. And so thank you very much. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the family. Just wonderful. And then there's always people involved. I mentioned Dan Harker, the Rich Sandwich, Dave Gerhardt, Dr. Bill Joyce. I didn't talk about. Just put me on great education. Thank you very much for putting a lot of stress in my life, but good stress and learning stress.
Fantastic. Thank you. I love how your comments about stress. That is so much important. That stress results in challenge as well as results in growth, and that's what we're all about. So thank you. So Rick, it's really been a pleasure talking with you today. Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Mike. Appreciated your time on it and the opportunity to talk about my past. I've enjoyed the conversation.